welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we've always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, guys, lots of Toronto Blue Jays news and updates. That battle for second base, Biggio versus Espinal. Who is winning out? A potential contract extension that some people are talking that the Blue Jays should make, and some overreactions from that opening day weekend. Tons of stuff to get into, guys. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
All right, let's get right into it next. So, first things first, Espinal, he locks in hitting plan as he adjusts to new Blue Jays second base work share. So obviously, there's been a ton of conversation before the opening day about, is Espinal going to be the guy? Is Merrifield going to be the guy? Is Biggio going to be the guy? I actually didn't think that it was going to be a complete even three-way split, and that's what it seems like it's going to be. There's a lot of question marks around that strategy from John Schneider and the Blue Jays managing staff, because you never really hear of a three-way split in a position and every one of these guys doing well at the bat. But Espinal plans to do a little bit better because he was doing well in the beginning of last year, but fell off at the end. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, I mean, to comment on the whole three-way split thing, I'm personally not about it. I don't think, I'm not yet anyways. Like, I guess, you can prove me otherwise if all three guys start doing well. But how is any one of them supposed to get in a rhythm when they just have no idea when they're playing, when they're suiting up? Like, am I playing today? Am I playing tomorrow? If I am, like, am I even going to be ready for that? Like, it's just very difficult, I think, for a hitter to get in that kind of everyday rhythm. And I understand Espinal, part of his thing last year where he fell off was, well, he didn't have the stamina for it. Okay, so maybe we tackle that by having, a bit of a split. But three ways, that is a lot of bodies in one position.
Yeah, and I understand it. I mean, like Merrifield, like you trade for him. I mean, you're kind of handcuffed. You've got to play this guy for basically his last year of his contract before the mutual option. And then you have Biggio, but Biggio is not really a guy that I really see getting a lot of playing time. Like, if you're going to use him, like this is the only way you're going to use him, but at least put him at like the third spot. Like, I hate how he's kind of even in the split because Biggio has not been good in the last few years. Like, you take a look at his stats, ignore the 2023 stats right there because they're very short, but they're not too far off of what he's been doing in the last few years. 202 batting average last year, 668 OPS in 97 games. Like, why is Biggio even getting the time of day, man?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. Like, I guarantee, like, his defense was good last year. His defense was good last year. There's no doubt about it. But there just seems to be something between Biggio and the management where, like, they're committed to this guy being a thing. And I was always under the impression that this season especially, he was the bench bat. Like, you were going to be the utility guy going everywhere. But up until this point, when we're recording this podcast, this is before the Monday night game, Game 4, and Biggio's got the most starts at second base now. He's got 2 compared to the 1 between Espinal and Merrifield. I don't really get it, considering you literally have an all-star in Santiago Espinal just riding the bench now, and when you look at their batting numbers, Espinal is clearly superior. He just is literally better. Like, the batting average is more than 50 points higher. The on base relatively the same. But, like, when you're looking for a hit, Espinal is 1,000% going to be your guy. Biggio is not.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw the great start that he got off to last year. He batted 298. Right through June 15th. Incredible. And he was literally named an all-star after Jose Altuve withdrew from the all-star game. For me, man, it doesn't make sense why we're rolling out Biggio this early into the season. Like, I wonder if John Schneider's strategy is, okay, let's see who wants to win it. But then the problem is you have these 3 bats that are not playing consistently, and you're not going to see enough of a sample size in the early going for someone to win it. Like, for me, I think you should roll out with who you think should be the starter, make him start the most, and if he starts to struggle after a month, then you start rolling in, maybe feeding in some more ABs to another guy. This way, kind of feels like no one's going to get off to a hot start and nobody's going to get into a rhythm. So, I don't know. I'm not a major league manager, but John Schneider, this is his first year being a major league manager, and this is something I'm also noting.
Yeah, it's not really, like, I'm not really vibing with it, man. Like, I agree with you. The whole month-long thing, like, give the dude, like, 3-4 weeks. If he sucks after that period of time, then I understand. You take him out, you try the other guy, and it kind of just cycles through. And frankly, I think that Espinal has done enough to warrant the first opportunity at that job. You know, like he was the guy last year and he was pretty good at it. And, you know, you looked at the spring training numbers and he was great in spring training too.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand why we're going about this, especially when defense has been such an issue. We need to get a core group of guys that understand the rhythms and complexities of how they play with one another. I don't need Bo Bichette wondering like who's going to have this ball, who's not going to have this ball, because I don't know who's playing at second base today. You know what I mean? Like I want somebody locked in so we're all on the same page in that infield and everybody knows what they're doing. And frankly, I think that Espinal should be that guy. But we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, we're going to roll with it this way, I guess. I mean, there's no other way around it. Let's see who wins out the job. Maybe we'll have a better answer come May, come June. Another thing that was written right here by Jay's Journal, I found it very, very interesting. And that is that one contract extension the Blue Jays should make right now and one contract they shouldn't. They're proposing that the Blue Jays should make a move with Danny Jansen. Lock him up for a long-term deal. And I mean, after an offseason where you trade Gabriel Moreno, you're basically committing to Danny Jansen and Kirk for this season. Danny Jansen, I mean, he's got 2 years left, this year, next year, and then he's a UFA. He's a free, unrestricted free agent. So what are your thoughts on actually possibly locking up Danny after some pretty impressive seasons?
You know, like I do hear where Jay's Journal is coming from, and I think that it makes sense. I think that also too, though, it's just low on the totem pole for me of dominoes that we need to like address here, or things that we need to do. I like Danny a lot, and if you can lock him down, you can get him cheap, then great. But I guess I just don't see a reality where Danny Jansen would be selling himself short, considering what he has done in the last few seasons. Catchers, when they go on the open market, they can make a decent amount of change. You know, I have no idea who is up in that same contract year as Danny Jansen, but I would find it hard to believe if he comes out this season and starts doing what he did in 2022, batting .260 with an .855 OPS, that he's going to take any sort of discount of any kind at all. And I don't think that the Blue Jays are going to want to pay through the roof when you still have Alejandro Kirk there, because at the end of the day, what we're paying for a guy to split time. So I like where they're at. I do agree that this would be a good idea. I find it hard to see how it would actually come in reality, though.
Right, it will be tough. I mean, it all depends on Danny, right? I mean, I understand Danny wants to make as much money as possible. So does everybody else when you become a major leaguer. You got one chance, basically, into your first UFA year to make some decent cash.
Yeah.
And yeah, if he's doing well, then yeah, he can do that. But hey, maybe this guy likes the Blue Jays. Maybe he's a team player. He enjoys playing here. And I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a stab. I could see a realistic like 4-year extension or something after his UFA year, you know, because here he's a great guy. He runs his staff well. I mean, to at least that we know of our knowledge. Like, I mean, we haven't really had a guy who's run the staff better and made the ERA better. We haven't really seen that, right? Because there's nothing to compare to with Danny Jansen in the last, since 2018. So, I mean, I like it, especially if he's hitting 850 OPS. I'll take it. I won't complain.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, like this says, if we're just going based on the fact that, oh, we should get good players and keep good players, then yes, of course. I'm just finding the whole like reality of the situation difficult to navigate, considering you still have Kirk and you don't want to break the bank on Danny as much as you want to keep him. You obviously want to keep him, but at the end of the day, it's like if we're gonna spend a crap load of money on a catcher, I think it's gonna be Kirk. So I get, it really does depend how he's doing this season and how those conversations kind of come to be.
And it all depends on how, like, what the Blue Jays financial situation is looking like at that point. Like, who's coming off the books? You know, do they have some spending money? How much is Danny Jansen going to cost at this point? Because let's say he takes a bit of a dip down, maybe he's below 800, he's having 750 in his last few years, but he's still catching a good game, calling a good game, like. Maybe you want to keep him there, and for a lot of the guys that a lot of the pitchers that are going to be around for a little while. Who knows?
I think he's an incredible second catcher. I don't know if he's going to want to get paid like a second catcher, and that's the one thing, right? Because I'd love to keep him, but if he's on the open market, someone will pay him to be the man and start every single day. Yeah, and that's where that's where the disconnect could be.
Okay, all right, moving on, guys. We have a couple overreactions here. A lot of y'all were commenting on a lot of our clips. and our Blue Jays Today show calling us that we're overreacting, even though we've said so many times this is an overreaction. We're not overreacting. We're just stating the facts of what's happening. We got some more overreactions for you guys to chew on.
Let's actually overreact.
Let's do it.
This is an article written by The Score, so shout out The Score here. And they do bring up some valid points.
They actually do.
In the Toronto Blue Jays overreaction that they have. Effectively, I'm not going to read this entire paragraph, but basically it's saying that Don Mattingly should be the guy, and that John Schneider in this opening day weekend, especially because I think this article was written after opening day.
Yeah, the first day.
So especially opening day, but even in this weekend, I'll comment on the whole weekend. There were some questionable decisions from John Schneider there where it looked like he almost had some opening weekend jitters, as like, oh my gosh, I'm the starting manager on opening weekend, and just started making some decisions that I wouldn't have made, or not making decisions that I think a lot of us would have made.
Yeah.
Specifically, there was one moment.
Kevin Biggio.
Kevin Biggio. Yeah. We're talking about Kevin Biggio. You gotta pinch hit Kirk in this critical moment where we could come back in the game. Yeah. And Kevin Biggio struck out a few times and not done anything.
Yeah, I think is to be specific, it was the Saturday we were trying to come back.
Right.
It was the 8th inning and we had a runner, I think maybe even 2 runners.
I believe that a big knock would have tied the game.
Right.
Big knock would have tied the game.
And we didn't pinch it. Yeah. And that was an opportunity too, because especially we all know how bad Kevin is. But again, it comes down, maybe it's a full circle in this video. It comes back to the fact that John Schneider just loves Kevin Biggio, and I don't understand why. But anyways, that's a good situation. And also the way he's handling this whole bullpen. I mean, I think a lot of people, everybody, I think most people on this channel thought Swanson was going to be a high leverage situation guy, late innings. That's what he's going to be used. He was not used like that at all. This weekend. He came in the 5th inning in the first game, and I forget when he came in the Saturday or the Sunday game. He came in again, but it was early, and it wasn't a high leverage situation. So a lot of question marks with that. And obviously, based on his decisions, you can also say, well, he made all these decisions with the pitching staff, gave up a crap load of hits, and they're kind of blaming him. But do you think that Don Mattingly deserves a shot this season?
I mean that's an overreaction for sure. We're definitely not there yet. If we're well below 500 or even flirting with 500, then sure, okay, we can have that conversation. But I do think that John Schneider needs to take a step back, take a breather, and really evaluate. Yes, the team needs to be at fault here. And I mean, Chris Bassett struggled. The offense struggled in game 2. There was definitely players kind of all over the place that were not doing their jobs effectively. But also, were you doing your job to the maximum capabilities? Really evaluate that performance and kind of walk into this next week, these next few series, especially when we get back home, and just, kind of address, is this the manager that I want to be? Is this the guy that I want to be? Because I thought that we were going to be different from Charlie Montoyo. And there was a lot of Charlie Montoyo-esque kind of decisions and moves or non-moves that I saw over this past weekend that, what is the difference here,
It's tough to really pinpoint what John Schneider's strategy is. I don't think he's going to come out and say, because I've also thought in my mind, I'm like, is he going to just, this is what he's planned on doing? Because I think I've heard him saying this in video interviews too. He's come out and said, we're going to stick to the game plan. This is the game plan. We're going to stick to it. This is what we're going to do. So, I wonder if, the pinch hit situation Biggio, he was just like, no, we're going to stick with him because I trust him.
But the thing also, too, is he's also come in and said, well, we're going to be serious and we're going to hold people accountable and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I mean, if we're going to hold people accountable, Biggio wasn't playing great up until that point.
Yeah. We're going to hold him accountable mid-game or
exactly,
post-game?
When are we going to, at what point is that going to be held accountable? Yeah. And, are we also just going to fully ignore the fact that, Kirk is clearly better than Kevin? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Maybe he's got his analytics. Maybe he's got his reasons. At the end of the day, I don't care as long as we're winning ball games. And this past weekend, we weren't. And that's why you're getting overreactions like this, which right now, big overreaction. 2-3 months from now, if these problems are still occurring, might not be so much.
It might not be, guys. But let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about everything that we talked about in this video, especially with that second base spot. That's still a hot topic, and I feel like we're going to be covering that quite a lot moving forward. And as well, what about a Danny extension? And what about John Schneider? Well, how is he doing? Do you like him? Let's see. We gotta watch some more baseball before we come up with an answer.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much. Hit the like, smash the subscribe button. $3 a month, become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to every single one of these current Patreon members. You guys are awesome. And our YouTube members, you guys are also freaking awesome.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. And go Jays, go!